Making money with debt. All you should know about it. Why would Mark Zuckerberg, a shrewd investor, opt for a mortgage when financing his house? Maybe it gives him the flexibility to keep his cash free for other lucrative investments and opportunities. Isn't that a smart move? Secondly, mortgages come with tax benefits, potentially enhancing his overall financial strategy. So isn't it intriguing that, even with billions at his disposal, he chooses to strategically leverage debt? Well, let's find that out in today's video. So, why take out a mortgage? The explanation is lengthy and intricate, but in a nutshell, it is free money. It seems absurd. Who would offer you free money when you are already a billionaire? Let us explain. It all comes down to interest rates. In the United States, the inflation rate is 2.5 to 3%, so any money borrowed that is less than the inflation rate is considered free money. Zuckerberg's mortgage rate is slightly over 1.05%, but it is adjustable, which means that depending on the conditions, the rate could go up for one reason or another. If you do the math, the bank loses since the mortgage rate is lower than the inflation rate. You don't have to be a genius to do the math. For example, suppose you borrow $1 million at a rate of 1%, and the average rate of return on a deposit account is 2.4%. This means that even if you deposit that $1 million in another bank, you end up making $24,000 a year while only making a monthly payment of $2,500 to the bank that lent you the money. Imagine doing that with $100 million or $1 billion. There's no point in tying up your own money when you can use it for more profitable purposes when you can borrow for free. Of course, when dealing with tiny amounts of money, this may not make sense because the difference isn't that significant. When dealing with enormous sums, fooling around with 1%, 2%, or 5% may potentially represent tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of dollars. Assume you are a businessman who can easily afford $1 million mansion. Why buy a house when you can finance it for 1 or 2% while investing the rest of your money in your firm, which might possibly yield 10, 20, or even 30% returns? Even if you are too lazy to locate a more profitable strategy to invest your money, simply investing it entirely in an index fund can be far more rewarding, especially when it comes to 20 or 30 years. Historically, index funds have produced an average return of 8%. If you take out a mortgage and invest the difference in an index fund, the percentage difference will be returned to you. Everything boils down to opportunity cost. It would be illogical for Zuckerberg to pay cash for the house when he has been offered a 1% mortgage rate. But he is not the only one who is as astute as that. Consider Elon Musk. The majority of his fortune is related to Tesla and SpaceX. To buy a property for $20 million, he would likely need to sell a significant portion of his wealth, pay taxes, and suffer other fees. Nevertheless, he can take free money and maintain his monthly payment within his budget. He obtained a $61 million mortgage for 5 houses in California, with a monthly payment of $180,000. Billionaires are not the only ones who engage in this. Jay-Z and Beyoncé are 2 examples of relatively well-off people. They used a mortgage to purchase their $88 million home. They put down 40% and financed the remaining $52.8 million. That leaves the couple with a monthly payment of $149,600. The national median home value, by comparison, is $200,700. Instead of tidying up $53 million in a mansion, he knows just where to put it to maximize his return. At the end of the day, he has made some outstanding investments, and he is well on his way to becoming a billionaire. The more money you have, the more money you can make. But let's be honest, not everyone qualifies for such a low mortgage rate. The national average is approximately 3%, but even at that rate, it doesn't make sense to buy a property if you can finance it. But first, let's be clear. Why are the super rich paying less than the rest of the country? To begin with, when you are a billionaire, the bank can rest easy because no one is concerned that you will default on your loan, and that if something goes wrong, you will be able to repay it. You can easily sell a portion of your firm to pay off your mortgage, removing the risk from the equation. In comparison, an average employee may become ill and be unable to work, or he may just leave his job. Second, paying your mortgage on time every month helps you create and maintain a solid credit score, which will make it much easier to borrow money from banks the next time you are in difficulties. You are essentially establishing trust between yourself and the financial institutions. It could, however, be the other way around. Banks give such cheap mortgage rates to build good relationships with wealthy people, so that when their businesses require a loan from a bank, they turn to them rather than their competitors. It's a win-win situation for everyone. But, as we previously stated, these low mortgage rates are adjustable, which means they might rise. But no one is concerned because if it no longer makes economic sense for these ultra-rich people, they can easily pay off their mortgages. However, most people identify debt with something unpleasant because we frequently borrow money for amusement that we cannot afford and end up paying a lot more back. As soon as you graduate from college, you realize how much of a burden your student debt has become. When you calculate how many years it will take to repay your debt, you immediately establish the notion that debt is bad, especially when you are unable to default on it. Playing with debt is not easy. You are ultimately taking a significant risk, and a minor error might have fatal effects. We've gotten so far into debt that most individuals can't even afford a $500 bill because we have to make all of these monthly payments. That, however, is what divides bad debt from good debt. Debt can wreck your life, render you homeless, and cripple your family if you are careless, but it can also make you extremely wealthy if you know how to leverage it. Leverage is an ability that can instantly make you wealthy. Let's say, for example, that you buy this phone for $10,000 and then sell it for $11,000. Congratulations, you just made a $1,000 profit, but it's not much. But what if you utilize leverage? Go to the bank first, borrow $90,000, then add another $10,000 to make $1 million. You go to your supplier and buy 100 phones for $1 million, then sell them on the market for $1 million. But you still owe the bank. So you return to the bank and pay back the $990,000 you borrowed, plus another $10,000 in interest. You now have $100,000. After deducting your personal $10,000, you are left with $90,000 of pure profit. When you don't have any money, this is how you make it. The bank earned a portion of the profit, and you earned yours. Remember when house prices plummeted? And then they brought the entire economy down with them. Because investment banks leveraged leverage to maximize profits to the point that their strategy backfired. They started lending to people who didn't have the best credit and weren't financially prepared to make the monthly payments. Then they defaulted on their mortgages, which was a nightmare for investors because, for the previous 40 years, housing prices had been growing and then abruptly dropping. We're not going to delve into the details of the 2008 financial crisis, since that's a subject for another film, but it's still a key instrument for affluent people to generate money. Of course, it's hazardous, and you may lose it all, but if you know what you're doing, you could make a fortune overnight. We hope you've enjoyed this video and found it super helpful. If it did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And hey, if you want to see more awesome content like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and click on the bell icon next to it. That way, you won't miss a single video, and it'll appear right on your homepage. Thanks for watching, and until next time.